Well, hello everyone. I'm here today with Madeline, and we're going to talk about sauces. So, yesterday, and I guess the day before, some of the groups have we made chicken stock from our chicken scraps that we've been saving, and that turned out pretty delicious. And then yesterday we made bechamel sauce, which was awesome because
Yeah.
we fixed it up in some rigatoni noodles with about a pound of bacon. So it worked out very well, didn't it, Madeline? With some good stuff. Hey there, Bristol. How are you this morning?
Good. How are you?
Fine, thank you. So we're going to be talking about sauces today, and so I'm going to share my screen with you, I think, right there. There we go. All right, so sauces. Once you get past stock, sauces are the thing that complete our plates, and that's the thing that holds everything together or makes it pretty or gives it some extra flavor. And so sauces are really important um, to 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 our plates. Okay, so sauces can be a lot of different things, and as we know, like from yesterday, we made bechamel sauce. That it really started out um, as a stock, and then we added some things to it. But the big deal with sauce again is that it just really adds an extra flavor component to whatever it is that you're cooking. It can dress up your plate, and just kind of finishes everything off. Okay, so some sauces are fairly thin, and some sauces are thicker. Okay, and so it just kind of depends on what it is that we're making. Okay, so something that I want you guys to remember is there are 5 classical sauces. And from those 5 sauces, they're also known as mother sauces. And from those 5 sauces, just about all of the other sauces that we make are made from those sauces. Okay, they're called grand sauces or mother sauces, and those terms are used interchangeably. Okay, so here's a list of the 5 grand sauces. And so you guys are expert at bechamel because we made that yesterday, right? That's what we made in our beautiful rigatoni noodles. Oh my gosh, that was so good. And basically what you're doing is just making gravy. And so if you've made biscuits and gravy before, you've pretty much made bechamel, right? Yeah. And so that kind of starts out as equal parts of fat and flour, and then you add your liquid to it, which is milk usually, or it may be a mixture of milk and some type of stock, and then it makes that lovely sauce that coats the noodles, right? Okay, so this week we're going to make tomato sauce, and then we're also going to make velouté. Now, tomato sauce, you guys know what tomato sauce is, that good old stuff we put on spaghetti. And we're going to make the real deal classical tomato sauce and some homemade meatballs. And I thought we would put that on like a hoagie bun and then melt some mozzarella cheese over the top of that. So yeah, that's going to be some good stuff. And then velouté, which is, it's kind of like, I would describe it as chicken gravy. Okay, so it's not as thick and heavy maybe as like bechamel would be, but that nice chicken gravy that you get, that you kind of ladle over the top of gravy, or of rather of chicken, will be quite lovely. And it also has that roux in it, which that flour and fat mixture that we made our bechamel out of. It's just not cooked quite as long. And this particular, we're going to do stuffed chicken breasts, and we're going to stuff them with sausage, and then we'll bake the chicken off, and then have that velouté to go over the top. So it's going to be so good. Can't wait for you guys to try that. Okay, so that's the five grand sauces. I guess we did not talk about brown sauce or Espanol sauce, which is lovely. You see it often served with steak, and it has that yummy, savory, meaty kind of a taste to it that is wonderful. And then we have hollandaise, which kind of has a little bit of a lemony taste to it. It's kind of eggs and lemon. And you see it oftentimes, you'll see it served with fish or maybe some veggies. And so I don't know if we'll have time to make that particular sauce, but we'll see how our time is going. And if we do, we will. But anyway, there's hollandaise. Okay, so those are the 5 grand or mother sauces. Okay. All right, demi-glace. Oh, goodness sake. So, remember what we said, that those grand sauces or mother sauces are what we make other sauces out of, okay? And that rich brown sauce that we were talking about from Espanol stock, or Espanol sauce, excuse me, with just a few additions, we'll have this beautiful demi-glace. And this is, when you serve it with a steak like it's pictured here, it is just like no other. It is delicious. Okay. All right. So some things that we're looking for whenever we have a sauce, it should have an appealing color. It should have a little bit of shine to it, and it should be smooth and velvety as opposed to lumpy. We don't want lumpy sauces, okay? The way we know it's thick enough is if you have your spoon in the sauce and you can drag your finger across the back of the spoon and it holds that without running, then you know you've got it thick enough, okay? Again, we are adding some lovely flavor to our food with the sauces, and so that's a big deal, that our sauces are tasting good. And we want to make sure that our sauces are not cloudy, because again, they are that visual component, or part of why we're adding it is for a visual component, as we want it to look beautiful on the plate. And so it shouldn't be cloudy, definitely not lumpy. It should have some shine, which probably is a little bit of the fat that's in it, and should be a pretty appetizing color. Okay, so remember whenever we made the stock, we added lots of flavoring to it, didn't we? There was onions, and there was celery and carrots, and gosh, we added all kinds of stuff, didn't we? Some different herbs. The same deal with your sausage. You know, we're going to have some reduction. Like yesterday when we made the bechamel, what did we flavor the milk? What did we flavor the milk with, guys?
Rosemary?
With what?
Rosemary?
It had thyme.
Thyme.
Thyme. I had thyme and a bay leaf. Thank you, Bristol. Bay leaf and thyme, and then there was onion, right? And celery and carrots that you guys had diced up and put in there. And so then that's our mirepoix, right? That's where that lovely, really savory flavor came from. But the other things that we can add to sauces, like in the instance of hollandaise, for instance, we add lemon juice, and that really peps it up and gives it some zip. Sometimes you'll see wine added, like in our tomato sauce that we're going to make next week, I think it will be. It has red wine in it. And so there's a lot of different flavor components that are added to pep it up and to give more interest to your food. And so I love the ability to do that. It really adds a new, or something new, and you can even play with it and change it up from the classical parts to just something unusual. So it's fun to kind of play around with that. All right, so here's that roux. Remember yesterday whenever we had that we saved some of the bacon grease and we had that butter and we melted it in the pan, and then we added the flour to it and we got that kind of pasty floury mixture that was in the pan. Remember that? So, and that's the thing that thickens it. Okay, and that roux that we made, that's what that's called, that fat and flour is roux. It depends on how much liquid or how much quantity of sauce that you're going to make will determine how much roux that you need. But just as kind of a rule of thumb, about a tablespoon of that stuff will thicken 1 or 2 cups of liquid. Okay, and I think, did you guys measure out? I was trying to remember how much, I think you had like 5 cups of liquid, didn't you? Didn't you have like 2.5 milk and 2.5 of chicken stock, wasn't that right? So 5 cups, and it seemed like, how much flour did you add to that, guys? Do you remember?
3 cups, I think.
3 cups of flour. Okay, so that was a lot more flour than maybe we needed, but anyway, it was a nice thick sauce. Okay, all right, here we go. And so there's different types of roux. Like what we made yesterday was what I would call probably a white roux, because we didn't cook or brown that butter and flour very much in the pan. But now some dishes you will. Some dishes want that more kind of a chocolatey colored roux, where you have browned that butter and browned the flour, and it gives kind of a nutty taste, like whenever you well, just like a browned grain. And so anyway, but it can get quite dark, quite chocolate in color. Okay, so, but here's what we did yesterday, right? So that procedure is the same. It's equal parts of fat and flour. We use a heavy saucepan, and we're gonna cook that till we get the color that we want, whether making a white roux, a blonde roux, or even a dark roux. But we're keeping that moving so that we don't burn it. Okay, one of the big things that we need to remember is that when the liquid that we're going to add to this to make it needs to be hot. Otherwise, our fat is going to seize up, and then we'll have lumpy gravy or lumpy sauce, and we don't like that, right? Okay, so, and here's another trick too, something called beurre mayonnaise. Okay, and that's a French term. And it's just like it's butter and flour mixed together. You just use a fork, and you can add that into your sauce, and it helps to kind of incorporate that flour a little easier, so that it doesn't lump up on you. And you can just kind of do like a quick pan sauce, and then kind of stir that around. And that works really nicely. And of course, butter, who doesn't like butter, right? Okay, a slurry. Now, sometimes there's a soup that we make that we will use a slurry with. And sometimes, like I said before, if you add your flour like just straight into the pot that you're cooking, a lot of times it'll clump up, and then it's really hard to get those clumps out. And so a way to avoid that is to take some of the cooking liquid into a bowl, and then add whatever thickening agent you're going to use, whether it's cornstarch or tapioca or flour or whatever it is, and use a whisk and mix it in to that small amount of liquid, and then add it to your soup or whatever it is that you're making, and that way it doesn't clump up on you. You can do that. But some things you have to do something too, like cornstarch, for instance. You're going to need to cook that or apply a little bit of heat for it to thicken, and also to kind of cook out that cornstarch taste. And so you have to, it's not something that you want to do if you're getting ready to pull it off the stove. And so you have to know which thickening agent to use at what time. Okay, all right, so that's slurry. Here's another one, a liaison. Okay, so eggs. What happens to eggs when you apply heat?
Starts to sizzle or something.
They what, Madeline?
Start to sizzle or something like that.
They cook or get thick, don't they? Okay, and so, but in a sauce, we can add eggs to kind of tighten it up and make it less less runny, so it'll be a thicker sauce. But if we added that all at once, we would have scrambled eggs, and that wouldn't be too good in our sauce, would it? And so a liaison, you'll whisk that together, and then you'll add kind of back and forth, kind of temper it, and then pour it in, and then that'll thicken your sauce. But that way you don't get scrambled eggs. Okay, but that's called a liaison, and that's egg yolks and heavy cream. And again, the egg, as you cook it, remember eggs kind of tighten up or set, and it'll do the same thing to your sausage. You'll see this a lot in custard. Like, anybody ever made homemade ice cream before, and the kind that you cook on top of the stove and then pour in the freezer? That's kind of what you're doing here. Or made like a pudding, like cook on top of the stove kind of pudding. Have you ever done that before? Okay, and those eggs, what's happening is that egg is cooking, and it's tightening up that mixture, and that's what this does. Okay, all right, compound butter. Oh my goodness. So this stuff is fantastic, and just about anything goes. And so I like to make one that has orange, like marmalade. Do you guys know what marmalade is? It's like jelly, like orange jelly, and pecans and butter, and put it, serve it like with breakfast, like with biscuits and things like that. Oh, it's terrific. If you ever go to Panera Bread, they have some cream cheesy, buttery kind of mixture that is delicious. But butter, compound butter is really easy to make. Sometimes you'll see like honey butter. You guys ever had honey butter before? That's pretty delicious. And it's just butter that you've allowed to kind of get to room temperature, and you can just mix in just about anything. This picture here is this Maitre d'Hotel, and it just has parsley usually in it. Sometimes you'll see some garlic, or you may see some other herbs mixed in, but it has a pretty color to it with the little flakes of green in there. It's once you get it at room temperature and you mix it up, you can just kind of put that out on I don't know, I just use like parchment paper, and then just roll it up like a tube, like slice and bake cookies. You ever made slice and bake cookies before? And you just kind of roll it up like that, and then put it back in the fridge, and it sets hardens in like in that tube shape, and then you just slice it and put it on whatever you're serving it with. And gosh, anything goes. I mean, sweet or savory. So pretty delicious stuff. Okay, so and here's some other things that you might not think of whenever you're thinking of sauces. Like, do you guys like salsa?
Yeah.
Love salsa. But you know, it's something that we add to, or we may have it just by itself, like on a chip maybe, or you might add it to something like a I don't know, a casserole of some kind, and salsa. You know, we always think of like tomato and pepper salsa, but there's also fruit salsa. Have you guys ever seen fruit salsa before, like peach salsa or mango salsa? Yeah, and so it adds an interesting component to food too. So you know, think about I was thinking like a Tex-Mex kind of dish, like if you did a chicken breast with some pepper jack cheese and maybe some bell peppers, and then garnished it with some black bean salsa. Wouldn't that be lovely? Think about all the colors in the salsa. Or like I've had like a fish that had a mango salsa. You know, fish is always, you know, the thing about fish is it always looks kind of anemic, right? It just looks so just plain and white when it's on the plate. But think about like the colors of mango salsa with all of the the oranges and the greens and the pretty colors that, that would definitely jazz it up a little bit, wouldn't it? Yeah. And the other one that you probably have had that you may not even realize is something called coulis. So have you ever been to Brahms and got like a strawberry sundae and had, the fruit stuff that's poured over the top? Well, that's technically a coulis. We've made raspberry here before. Sometimes you'll see things like cheesecake that have like a fruit sauce that's over the top of it, and that's mostly coulis. Basically, it's just fruit juice and sugar, and then they've kind of cooked it until it's thickened, and just about anything goes with that. But those are not grand sauces or mother sauces. Those are kind of another category on their own, okay? So we don't start out with those mother sauces. But the thing about these, usually like salsa and fruit, is they don't have that fat base to it like a lot of our other sauces do. We didn't start off with equal parts of fat and flour and things like that. And so it's a much more healthful alternative to like a heavy sauce. And so it's definitely got application. And I love the colors of it too, with all the pretty vegetables and fruit. Okay. All right, there's that au jus we've been talking about. Remember the French dip? Oh my gosh, that is just, oh, so delicious. And there's just something about bread and pan juice and just some hot brown meat. I don't know what it is, but it's so good. It's just so savory and satisfying, isn't it? Yeah. So we love that. All right, and here's finishing sauces. Now, sometimes, like I said, at the end, once you get them made, sometimes we'll womp them up a little bit with some other additions. We might add vinegar or some wine to it. And also we may want to strain them out if we've added herbs or something to it and we want it to be just the sauce and not have any little floaties or imperfections in the sauce. We may strain it. And then, so there's different things that we may want to do it to finish it off, okay? But how do you know what sauce goes with what food? Have you ever wondered that? Yeah. So it should make sense, okay? And if you think about, something, think about the flavors that go together. Thinking like fish, and oftentimes you see fish served with lemon, don't you? And so, and think about, that hollandaise sauce has a lemony kind of a base to it. And so it kind of makes sense that might go together. Whereas, if you think about that Espanol sauce, it's so meaty and savory and heavy, doesn't really seem like it would go to as well with fish, right? And so some things to think about, one is where it is that you're working, and are your employees able to make this kind of sauce? Some sauces are quick and easy, like the bechamel that we made was pretty easy, but like that Espanol sauce takes a while, and it's also requires beef, which is going to be a more expensive application. So there's some things to think about there too. But basically, what we're thinking is, does this sauce pair well with the kind of food that we want to put it on? And in your book, there's like a whole list. There's like 2 pages of things to consider whenever you're trying to decide what sauce goes with what food. So, and I think that's actually one of your questions for this week is, how do you know? And so you can get on there on your book and you can check it out. Okay. Let's see. Hey, look at that. We just finished that up. So for next week, like I told you, we're going to make the meatballs and marinara, which is, that marinara is what kind of sauce, guys? Tomato, right on, girl. So tomato sauce. And then we're going to make stuffed chicken breast with velouté sauce, which, like I said before, is like chicken gravy, which is delicious also. And so hopefully we'll have time to get all of that done. We're gonna have to hustle if we get that all done on one per day. So if we have a little carryover, I don't know, we may have to have a big reveal on your day too when you're here. I don't know, but hopefully we'll get everything done each day. But anyway, you guys are pretty fast workers, so hopefully I feel like we can get that done. Have high hopes anyway, but we'll see how it goes. But anyway, but that's pretty much it. I think I told you I put some stuff out on Moodle for you. There's a video on there, and then there's some vocab matching, and then there's like 4 questions, I think. So not too much. But again, you have till Tuesday to get that all finished. So anyway, everybody good? Anything going on in the world need to know about? No, just same old stuff. All right. Well, you guys have a fabulous Wednesday, and I will look forward to seeing you the next time you're here, okay?
Okay.
All right. Take care, guys.
Bye.
Bye.